Hello YouTube, my name is rhianaB. Welcome back to my Shadowhunter review reaction of the series finale. If you haven't checked out part 1 of my review and reaction, make sure to check that out. I will leave a link right down in the description below. So go ahead and check that out before we delve right into what is officially the final episode of Shadowhunters, and that is 3/22 All Good Things. Okay, I have to say, this was the best opener to an episode I have ever seen. First off, it is just a huge gush of love because we get all these really adorable and sexy moments with all of our main couples. First off, we start with Sizzy, who just start having sex and making out on Simon's couch in his apartment, and I was not expecting that in the opener, but I absolutely loved it. And then we get a quick little glimpse of Clace, who are in bed sleeping together, all cute and sound-like. And then, of course, to my heart, we did get a little moment with Malec, and although I hated that there was such a big gap between them in their bed, what I loved was that Alec was sleeping and Magnus was just lying there awake, looking at the love of his life, his fiance, just sleeping right beside him, and reaches over and starts stroking his hair, and I'm like, oh my god, the Malec feels. We feel those a lot in this last episode, but I loved that each couple got their own little part to show like how content, relieved, and happy they are that most of this bad stuff is gone. I mean, obviously they still have other problems to worry about, but in the time being, they can enjoy just being together and being couples. It's just best opener and the best way to start the final episode. But we actually have a clip to delve right into to continue our feels, and that is the clip of Malec basically preparing for their wedding. So let's go ahead and watch that clip. Oh my god, it's gonna break my heart again.
Good morning.
Good morning it is. Good morning.
Oh, they're
indeed.
both so happy.
What's this? You are cordially invited to the wedding of Alexander Gideon Lightwood and Magnus Bane. Tonight.
Why wait even a day longer? After everything we've been through, who knows what crisis will befall us tomorrow?
Well, I don't know. I was hoping that maybe we could plan.
When your wedding planner is a warlock, all you need is a little magic and exquisite taste.
Oh, he's so excited. You can just see he's so
Alright, first
excited
up,
for his wedding.
Location. How about the Taj Mahal? Or
Face
Machu
on
Picchu,
Alec.
the Temple of the Sun.
Or how about the Institute?
Just
Right. Because when I think romantic, I think of the New York Institute.
you can't blame
How about
Magnus for
the
thinking
Terra in
that.
St. Lucia, overlooking the tropical sea. Portals will shuttle in guests, and we.
Magnus, just think. The Clave would have to honor and celebrate a relationship between a warlock and a Shadowhunter under their own roof. I mean, think about the message that would send to others like us.
All right.
The Institute it is then. Tuxedos? I do like you in a tux. White measure success.
Oh my god. Oh.
It's just all these hundreds of years. I can't believe you've never been married. I've never met anyone like you.
Yes, finally. Oh my god. I can't. Ah! That whole scene just melted my heart so much, because not only did it show off their great banter that they have together, and that's totally on Matt and Harry for having an amazing chemistry on screen, but also, oh god, the one that just hit me was when, Alec is like, I do like you in a tux, and I'm like, oh my god, Alec showing his turn-ons to Magnus. This is, oh, Malec dreams, oh my god. Okay, So we move on from that scene, and everyone is now starting to get their invitations, including Jace and Clary, and they're happy and they plan to go to the wedding together, but Clary still has this lingering that she shouldn't be this happy because, you know, obviously Jonathan is still on the loose. Jonathan is still out there wreaking havoc. So she can't be fully happy. But Jace, reaffirms that, there's always going to be hard times and all that sort of stuff, but we should at least try to make our world better, try to make things happier so we can live better lives. And again, this is all leading up to a big climax, which I don't want to say because I'm getting ahead of myself, but let's move on from happy moments to really, really awkward and kind of not what I wanted to see moments. So we're back with the Seelie Queen and Jonathan, who we last saw in the first half of the series finale. They kissed in the woods after he killed a bunch of Shadowhunters, and of course that must have led to them being in bed, because they are now in a bed made up of flowers, and I'm just like, again, happened in the books, I'm aware, does not mean I wanted to see that on screen. But what I thought was so hilarious was that Jonathan just had this stern, cold stone look on his face, and he was not having any of what the Seelie Queen was offering him. And he's like, you just gave me a small bit of pleasure, but you give me no comfort. And I'm like, bam, like, call out the bitch, call out the bitch. It was just so funny how he was reacting to her and how she was trying to, like, flirt and ease her way back into his good graces, but it just was not happening. And again, probably one of the best things that I loved about Jonathan and how he was talking to the Seelie Queen was basically just calling her out on all of her bullshit. And this is like, in that moment, Jonathan was some of the fans, not all the fans, but for a lot of the fans who do not like the Seelie Queen, Jonathan was us. Basically being like, you don't love me, you don't care about me, you just see me as a weapon, you see me as a possession, and you're only doing this because you're scared, and you just want to be on the winning side, da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, yes, 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 and yes. This is what I've been saying pretty much since the start of the show when we first met the Seelie Queen. Like, she always causes problems. She does not give a shit about anyone else besides herself. And it just made me question why the Seelies worship someone like this, because it's just like, did they not see how badly she puts, the Seelies in? Like, she puts them in such a bad light and just drives me insane. But we end with quite a conclusion to that whole segment, because don't know why she decides to do this, because he starts to threaten her and she automatically assumes, oh, let's turn back into my child self and maybe that'll save me. When in actuality, that just made the whole scene that much more awkward, because I'm just like, literally you just turn into a child right after you just had sex together. Like, is that not awkward enough? Because it was for me. But that does not work with Jonathan, because he has no humanity. His eyes go black, and we don't see it, but all of a sudden we just hear this high-pitched scream, and just these, like sparkly dust particles flying all around. I guess it's easy to assume the Seelie Queen is probably dead. Don't know if that's an actual thing that could happen, if it's kind of like how we thought, or they thought Lilith was dead, when in actuality it was, her just returning back to Edom, or even Clary for that matter when she died. But it's like, is she dead? Part of me says no, part of me says yes. But either way, I'm glad that she's gone and she's not causing havoc anymore, because now that's put on Jonathan. And yeah, he basically leaves the Seelie realm to basically just start going after the world that had been so dark and tragic to him. So now we're going to go away from the awkwardness and the terrifyingness, and we're going to go into our final clip of the night, and that is a talk between Alec and Jace. Alec playing with his wedding ring, I love it, or his engagement ring, technically.
Guess you heard? I sensed it long before I got the invite, Alec. Congratulations, I'm so happy for you.
Thank you. Magnus is taking care of
And that smile on his face. Oh, my heart, my Malec heart.
Asking you to be my Sujan.
Again?
Again.
But for real this time, this wedding is gonna be it. Oh, that smile. Matt
Also,
Daddario does have
something
a
else I
very
wanna
beautiful
tell you.
smile.
I'm gonna be moving into Magnus's apartment.
Finally.
Oh, that's not a problem, right?
Jace.
No, I mean, there's no rule that says the head of the institute has to live on site, right? Just I'll be a stranger.
I mean, he's head of the institute. He can't be a stranger.
I'm a parabatai.
And that too.
Wherever I go, you're right there next to me.
It's, oh. I love, and I know I've said this in past reviews, I love seeing the two of them together, like them being brotherly parabatais and them truly being there for each other. And it's just, and also it was really sweet to see Jace like worried about, you know, losing Alec, because now he's moving on with Magnus, and you know, he's moving in with his future husband and all that sort of stuff. And it's sweet to see Jace kind of like want to hold on to that life they had where they were brothers and you know, living and training together at the institute. It's nice to kind of see that and see how much he cares about that whole thing, and it's just really, really sweet. And I'm glad that we got a couple of good parabatai moments in this series finale. So, and then we move on to a clip I did not expect to see happen at all. So Izzy and Clary are in the weapons area and they're talking to each other. First off, it starts off with Clary giving her approval of Sizzy like everybody else, and it was really, I love the line where Izzy's like, you know, Alec and Magnus never shied away from showing their love, and I want to do the same thing with Simon. And it's just, Malec just, you know, setting the world in the right direction of how love should be portrayed, and it just makes my heart sing. But this isn't about Malec in this particular instance. So, then this conversation leads to Clary asking Izzy if Izzy wants to be Clary's parabatai. And that shook me so much, because the thing is, in the books, from what I've read, Clary and Simon actually become parabatai, because there's this whole ordeal about how Simon loses his vampire hood and starts turning into a shadow hunter. I'm not going to go into details. You can read the books for yourselves or go on whatever wiki or Wikipedia and find out for yourself. But it's interesting to see that they've switched that up, and now it's going to be Clary and Izzy, because they do, in the show, they have such a strong bond that it makes perfect sense for them to become parabatai. So I love that whole concept of them trying to be a parabatai, and how much, again, showing character growth, how much they've grown as friends, and individually how much they've grown to say, hey, we can do this together. We would be better if we were combined and combined our forces to become this great parabatai group. Plus, it's just really cool to see that, you know, that there's a slight connection between like Alec and Jace, and then Izzy and Clary. Like, that connection would be really, really cool. Again, I would have loved to have seen that, but alas, it did not happen. And again, we'll get to that in a second. We have a quick little scene between Luke and Clary, because Luke comes to the Institute, and first off, Underhill, who's at the door, is kind of confused as like, how is Luke here, and how does he have his runes back? Wasn't he a werewolf and all that sort of stuff? And luckily, Clary lets Luke come in, and they talk, and sadly, he won't be at the wedding because he has to go to Alicante to do some debriefing or stuff like that. But it's been announced that Luke is a shadow hunter again, and that he is okay, and that he's going to be there for Clary. And of course, while this happens, Clary starts seeing this like ball of light start forming behind Luke, and she's the only one who can see this, because she asks Luke, and then he's like, well, what are you talking about? And then she follows this light into her room, and another moment that just completely came out of left field for me, the light ends up being Jocelyn, Clary's mom. She's back. I'm just completely left like, what? I mean, I know this is the series finale, and usually in series finales they try to get as many past characters onto the show as possible. I was not expecting Jocelyn to come back. I was not expecting it, but I did like it. I like the fact that we got a chance to see, you know, you know, mother and daughter reunite in this sort of way. And for a second I'm like, well, this is great, but why is she here?
How is this happening? How? I know it's the finale, but I didn't expect to see Jocelyn back.
I'm so proud of you, Clary. Of the woman you've become.
My mouth is just like, ah.
I miss you so much. When you drew your necromancy rune on Valentine, you broke a fundamental tenet. The dead shall stay dead. And now
But wasn't it Gia who pushed her to do it anyway?
Shadowhunters with demonic blood. And for Raziel, that was the last straw. They perceive you as disrupting the natural order.
What?
So, not to draw another rune of your own ever again. What? If you do, as quick as they gave you your gifts, they will take them away.
What, just take her ability to create runes? That's not that big of a sacrifice though, is it? That's not that big of a sacrifice. Now if it's her entire, like, angel blood, then that's different. But just her ability? That's not terrible.
And we find out that she was sent by the angel Raziel himself to send a message to Clary, and that Raziel and the other angels are not happy that she has been doing these runes that she's been creating, and that it goes against the natural order of things. It started off with, oh god, what was the one rune? There was one rune in particular where he wasn't happy with it. Oh yeah, it was the necromancy rune, the one where she used to bring Valentine back to life. They were not happy with that rune, but the final straw was when the alliance rune, that was the final straw for them. And they warn that if she makes any more runes, that they will take away the ability for good. And at first when I heard that, I thought, oh, just take away the ability to make runes? I mean, she can easily do that. I mean, that's not the worst thing they can ask of her. But no, it's clarified that if she makes a new rune, that basically she will be deruned herself, and in so doing that, she will lose all of her memories of the shadow world, because those runes are so connected to your memory and things like that. And I was like, oh my god, like, these angels are just... The one thing that bothers me is that this is an ability she has had for quite some time. She's been able to create runes since season 2. If you gave her this ability, then why are you mad that she's using it? You know what I mean? And I even think Ethereal at one point even said that this was a gift from the angels and that she should use this. And maybe people can quote me different on that. It's been a while since I've seen season 2. But I just don't understand why they would be so angry at her for doing this when they gave her the gift in the first place. Like, when you give a gift to someone, you expect them to use it somehow. Unless they were expecting her to do different types of runes, like the light shooting out of her hand, that's something different. The portal rune, hey, that's something that you could use without hurting people. But, like, going against death and going against the whole bond between demon blood and angel blood, I don't know. I don't like it that they kind of almost did a 180 in their approach on how she creates runes. It just did not make me very, very happy. So moving on from that big shocker, we move on to a very lighthearted moment where Magnus has so many wedding cakes out in front of him, and even one with the classic, like, little, you know, two guys in tux figurines on top of the cake. It was so adorable. He's doing cake testing and just... oh, it just makes me so happy to see Magnus so excited about his first ever wedding. It's just so adorable just to see him so happy for his first wedding. It's just so cute. And Lorenzo comes in, and at first I'm thinking, oh god, what's he gonna do now? But he actually kind of comes in with, like, this lighthearted approach, and at first he's like, oh, I'm just here to collect a few more of my things, and it turns out to be one of his self-portraits, and then something else. And then out of nowhere, Magnus decides to apologize to Lorenzo, and is like, you know what you did, it means a lot to me, and because you helped my family, you helped my friends, and that means everything to me. And then Lorenzo, again, so many moments out of left field in this series finale, Lorenzo ends up talking to Magnus about how seeing Magnus with Alec and everyone else, how that has opened him up to the idea of finding a new family, because apparently he's never had a real family before in his long existence. So it's really cool and really refreshing to see Lorenzo strip away the facade of his, like, egocentric personality and talk about something so deep and personal. And to kind of show him in a positive light, because if you guys have been watching my reviews, you know that I've badmouthed Lorenzo to the ends of the earth because I did not like his character at all. From the minute we saw him, I didn't like him. And in this series finale, I finally started opening up to Lorenzo again. And he was just so open and vulnerable, and I really liked it. And Magnus saw this too, because he ends up giving him an invitation to his wedding. And that's a big move for Magnus to make. And I kind of would have loved to have seen them work together somehow with this new connection. Because they've been through so much, I think it would have been really cool for them to kind of do some, like, you know, like, work-related, like, bonding or stuff like that. I think that would have been really, really cool. And then from Magnus, we move on to Alec, who goes and talks to Maris, and obviously Maris is very surprised that they're doing this wedding the same night, and she's beyond excited for her son and for her soon-to-be son-in-law, and starts worrying about what she wants to wear. And then turns out Magnus bought this beautiful dress for her to wear, and it was so cute. And then Alec decides to kind of bring up a sore subject and talk about Robert, who is Alec's father, and wanted Maris's permission to ask him to the wedding. And Maris, great character development over these past few seasons, goes, he will always be your father, and whatever happened with us, it does not change that fact at all. So basically giving him her blessing to bring his father, to the wedding. And speaking of Robert, then we go all the way across the country. We go to LA, because if we recall, Robert has been working at the LA Institute, and Max has been there as well. So we get to see both of them again, which is really nice. And Max looked so nerdy and so adorable. And I know he looks older, but he looked so cute. And just with the glasses, he looks like such a nerd. And apparently he's like top of his class and all that sort of stuff. And it was really, really cute to see that. But the good times did not last long, because Jonathan ends up breaking into the LA Institute, basically kills every single Shadowhunter he finds, except for Robert and Max, who try to, like, stab him and defend themselves against him, but of course he's full demon, so it doesn't really work. And now it's just, we realize now the extent of what Jonathan is going to be doing to try to kind of wreak his vengeance and havoc on the rest of the world. So obviously everyone has heard of this news about these attacks, and Alec basically gives this whole speech about how Jonathan has been attacking institutes. He's attacked 13, and he's been killing both Shadowhunter and Mundane, and that they've got to do something about this. And right in the middle, where they're starting to make up some plans, they get a video message from Robert and Max, who say that they are the only survivors of the LA Institute because Jonathan wanted to send a message to Clary. And that message was that he wants Clary to see the world basically go up in flames, and that he's saving New York for last so she can see the entire world engulfed in flames and destroyed, and then she'll have to see her friends and her family meet the same fate. And it kind of just, it seems like Jonathan's gone full-blown Joker, because when I first heard that line, the first thing I thought of was that one line from Dark Knight where Michael Caine's character is like, some men just want to watch the world burn, and I totally got that image in my head of, like, Jonathan being the Joker and wanting just to see suffering, and gets a slight kick out of it, although he doesn't really show it all that much in his face. But that's basically what I saw. So Clary decides to offer to go talk to Jonathan alone, not armed, and wants to, like, see if she can, like, get to him, because she's really the only one who could do it. Anyone else, it'll feel like it's an ambush or it's a setup. He'll kill them instantly. With Clary, she can at least stall him enough for something to happen. And at first everyone's really reluctant and they don't want her to do this. This is a very, very big risk, especially how powerful Jonathan has become. But she reiterates that she's the only one who can do this, and that she's willing to do whatever it takes to stop him and to save everyone else. So she gets Magnus to portal her to Toronto, because that's where he currently is right now, after he just went on another rampage. And then we get what will become the final brother-sister face-off. Clary shows up and basically talks to him, bringing up the dreams that she had had about him being in the tower in Edom, which he didn't know about. He was not aware of these dreams that she'd been having for a very, very long time. And that kind of, you could even see it in his eyes that there's a shift there. It's like he realizes, wait, she's been dreaming about me. Oh my God, she cares. And then she starts saying, like, we've always been connected. You were always my brother. And no matter what bad things you've done, nothing can change that, and that I will love you. And I have to say, and I have been dogging the whole latter half of this season because of the whole incesty thing, but I think this was the moment that finally there was a moment where they're both like, we are truly bonded as siblings, as Morgensterns. Also, a great line by Clary when she was like, our biggest source of heartbreak is our family connection, our family as a whole, the Morgenstern name. That has been such a detriment and a downfall to both of us. And I love that line so much because it is so true. But she calms him down enough. They go in for a hug. And then the minute I saw the rune in her hand, I'm like, oh my God, she's gonna draw a new rune. She's gonna do it. Lo and behold, she draws a new rune. Beautiful white wings pop out and they wrap around him. And at first, my whole thought was, this rune's gonna suck out all of the demonness out of Jonathan. But then we see that he's struggling, he can't breathe, and his face starts to crack, and he falls to the ground, and then I'm realizing, no, she's not trying to save him. She is trying to save him, but she's not trying to, like, save him to live. She's saving him from his own demonhood.
Despite anything you've done, what you've been through, how much I want to fight it or wipe it away, I will always love you. Always.
She's not lying. She does feel some sympathy. Oh my God. But that's not going to change anything, is it? Oh no. Oh no. God, she's breaking. Oh no. She has to. Where is she? Are we killing him or are we turning him back? What's going on? Oh, he's back. He's dead. Oh, Clary. Wow. Wow. I didn't think she would actually do it. No!
And in that case, that means he has to die. And the minute he does, his hair goes back to red. The paleness is kind of gone. He looks a lot more innocent. And Clary gives out the hail and farewell to Jonathan, since he was a Shadowhunter. And that's it. Clary wins. Jonathan is now officially dead. And everyone else is saved. But at that risk, we notice that I'm getting emotional again. Her angelic rune on her arm, it disappears. And that's the moment where we're like, sorry, I'm getting emotional. When we realize that Clary is gonna lose all of her runes one by one, probably in chronological order in the way she got them, and that she's gonna have to leave the Shadow World. So I'm already like borderline getting emotional again. You can probably hear my voice a little bit. We're gonna move on from that to a more happier emotional moment. We finally get the Malec Wedding, and I don't think my sit-down reaction would be nearly as good as my live reaction. So here's the reaction to the infamous and much anticipated Malec Wedding. Oh, Alec looks so happy, oh my god! Oh my god! Oh. Oh.
Love I have for you is enough and knows no in times of joy as well as sadness, in sickness and in health, I will love you as my equal and protect you above all else. I'll share with you my truest feelings, and when you speak, I will listen. I will catch you when you fall. When you soar, I will help you reach your greatest heights. Magnus Bane, Alexander Gideon Light. I am and will always be your loving husband. It is my honor to pronounce you one.
That one ceremony was too quick, but oh my god, it was so adorable. Oh. Oh my god. It was just such a beautiful ceremony. I really wish that they had drawn it out a little bit longer, and I wish that they had done some certain things. Like, I did find it odd that they didn't exchange rings. I did find it a little weird how Alec doesn't have a wedded rune, although I know that Magnus can't bear runes. I wanted that wedding to last so much longer, and I know that they didn't have a lot of time, but I wish it had gone longer because it was so beautiful and it was so beautifully shot, and the words that they were speaking to one another. I'm getting emotional. Okay, I need to calm down. It was just so well done, and seeing them dance together, and that whole line about, you know, how Magnus feels like he's like walking and dancing on air. Oh, it was so beautiful and sweet. Damn it, I'm crying. Before I have a complete utter breakdown, let's talk about some other stuff going on at the wedding. So Izzy and Simon are there together, and Raphael comes in and says, again, giving a seal of approval to Sizzy. And then he goes into talking about how mundane life has been for him, and that he's actually wanting to work on becoming a priest, which would be, I think, a beautiful way for him to kind of come full circle. He started as a very Catholic man who became a vampire, like a demon of the night, did some very horrible bad things, but is willing to move on and to forgive and to try to better his life by serving God. A God that he has loved and cherished throughout his entire life, even during his vampire days. And I thought that was a really sweet moment. And then we go back to the emotions again because Clary pulls... God, I'm so sorry, guys. I'm trying to hold this in the best that I can. But Clary pulls Simon to the side and basically gives a... basically saying goodbye. Damn it, I need a tissue. I'm sorry, guys. I can't hold it in. So yeah, she pulls him aside and just like basically saying goodbye and saying that, you know, we're always friends and you've been my best friend. And even Simon makes the comment where he's like, why do I feel like this is like some weird little goodbye? And you could just see it in Clary's face. Jesus, how much this has been affecting her. And she's trying to hold it in the best that she can, and it's just very, very hard and just so heartbreaking to see it. Okay, I want to talk about some other couple moments because there were other ones as well. We had Helen and Elaine were at the wedding and they were dancing, and even they were talking about weddings and if they want to wear dresses or if they want to wear tuxes, and they share a kiss, the only kiss that we will, I don't want to say we'll ever get, but the only kiss we have seen between the two of them, which was really, really cute. And then we had a moment between Lorenzo and Madsy, who were dancing together, and then out of nowhere, Underhill just kind of walks up and introduces himself to Lorenzo. And we finally learn Underhill's name. His name is Andrew Underhill, which is finally great to get that clarification. But it's kind of interesting to think of Lorenzo and Andrew being together. Like, that would be very, very interesting. And I can't help but think that, like, Magnus would kind of play like a matchmaker or, like, do things, like, to show them how a Downworlder Shadowhunter relationship could work out. I think that would be a really, really cool, would have been a really cool thing to see. But very, very interesting coupling. I can't help but kind of go for it, even though I never not liked Underhill, but I had my issues with Lorenzo, so it's kind of interesting to see them together, but I mean, I'm all for it. And then we have this really sweet moment with Max talking to Magnus and Alec, with others around them as well. And Magnus says that I want to call you my brother. And again, a big jump, because there was that one scene in season 2 when they were at Magnus's apartment for his rune ceremony, that he kind of was like saying that, you know, you're a demon and all that sort of stuff, and kind of against Magnus at the time. But now him saying that I want to call you my brother, you are family. I mean, I can only imagine how much that would mean to Magnus himself, but it means a lot to us as an audience, because again, it shows beautiful character development, even though we haven't seen Max in quite some time. And then Maris is standing right behind him, and she takes this opportunity to finally tell everyone that her and Luke are a thing. Turns out everyone already knew about it, which is kind of to be expected, but they're all supportive of it, and they love it, and they think it's the best for her and for him. And even Clary gives Maris her blessing, and with her saying that, Maris is very grateful, and then takes her to the side and is like, no one will ever replace Jocelyn in Luke's eyes. That she was the love of his life. And I think that meant a lot to Clary in that moment. But then she takes opportunity to talk about, obviously, the angels, and she's like, are they capable of forgiveness? And Maris is like, well, my mom used to always say that the angels work in mysterious ways. And I kind of like that she said that in a way, because it left it ambiguous enough to be like, maybe this is the angel's way of teaching her a lesson for the things that she's done. Because Clary has done some pretty messed up, not rational things, as we all know from the show. But it's nice to kind of have that ambiguous thing, because this could just be a lesson to her. Maybe they would be willing to have her come back because of how open-hearted she is. So at the end of the day, I think that was the best answer Maris could give to that question. And then, God, a moment that I didn't expect to get so emotional over, at least not really, was this beautiful moment. And damn it. The moment with Clary and Jace, they dance on the floor, and Jace goes on about that before Clary, he didn't expect to find love, to find acceptance, or be anything more than just like a brave shadow hunter. But she changed everything for him. And she just spews out her love for Jace and goes on to say, every cell in my body loves you, which is a pull from the books. And she just, declares her love for Jace. And this in tune is saying, sorry guys, I'm so sorry. I'm trying my best here. But she basically is saying goodbye at the same time that she's declaring her love for him. And I think she realizes that it's like, it's too late to do anything, so she says that I'm gonna go out and get some air. And that final shot, not final shot, but that one shot of her leaving the dance hall, leaving the wedding, breaking down crying. I mean, obviously, all of us in the fandom were like, this is the fandom, that's how... I mean, look at my face right now. But it's just so relatable in different ways, but it was relatable.
I'm gonna go get some air.
Wait, hold on. What's going on?
By the time you read this letter, my memories of you and the shadow world will be gone.
Oh,
The price the angels made me pay for the runes I've created. But I have no regrets. Even if I don't remember you,
oh my god.
you will always be in my heart.
Oh no. What is she gonna do? You're really taking her away from everything she ever knew. No. 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 What are we gonna... What? No.
And she walks out into the hall. Another rune. Slowly her runes have been disappearing as this whole wedding has gone on. Again, I don't understand how no one has noticed that her runes are disappearing, especially since she's bare-armed. She's wearing this beautiful dress and it's just her arms are bare, and no one seems to notice that her runes are disappearing. And then all of a sudden, just these shadow hunters who are just standing out in the hall, they start to disappear. And right in that moment is that was the moment I finally was realizing that this would mean she was losing her memories. So she runs out of the Institute in absolute tears as her runes continue to fade. And then intercut, if they didn't want to like break our hearts even more, they intercut with this letter that Clary had written to Jace, basically explaining this whole situation, how the angels have decided to take away her Shadowhunterhood, basically, and that she won't be able to remember anybody. But she says in a letter that she will always love Jace, and that she'll always be a part of her no matter what happens. And seeing Jace start to cry, and her still crying, and then all of a sudden, the final rune, the first rune she ever received, which was her Aratsi rune on her neck, that disappears, and that's it. Clary has now forgotten all of her memories and just standing out in the middle of the parkway and right in front of the Institute and is just confused on why she's there, and then she just walks away, and that's it. Luckily, though, it does not end on that sad of a note, because we do get a small time jump. It's now a year later, after the Malec Wedding, and Alec is actually the Inquisitor now, so he lives in Alicante. Luke is there too, and basically says that they've deputized Downworlders, and that now Shadowhunters and Downworlders are now working together very, very well. And that this has been a work in progress over this last year, and that Luke basically gives credit to Alec for being the instigator in all of this. And of course, Alec's like, well, I didn't do this alone. He did have a group of people behind him, but I kind of want to say that probably it was him talking about Magnus, and that their relationship is the one that really opened his eyes to working with Downworlders and having them be together. Maybe more so after he met Magnus than before, but regardless. Also, we see that Malec live in Alicante as well, and somehow Magnus was able to portal their entire apartment into Alicante for them to live in, and Magnus looked absolutely fabulous in this gold and in these blue streaks in the hair, and hence why I'm wearing, well, I mean, my makeup's probably a mess right now, but the reason I'm wearing blue and gold eyeshadow, and then the lip was inspired by Magnus's wedding look. But Magnus is actually now High Warlock of Alicante, which is a really cool twist, and one I didn't expect to see. I thought that he would still be, he would go back to being High Warlock of Brooklyn, or maybe even higher. I wasn't expecting Alicante. But they are obviously still very happy, still very happily married, and they even do a callback to season 1 when Alec comes over with drinks in hand, and I love that moment when Magnus threw his notebook and his pen to the floor just to grab the martini out of his hand, and a callback to season 1, and they're like, to us, which was absolutely just a great way to see how happy they are together still, and how much they've overcome in this past year. Back in the real world, we have Maya, who now owns the Jade Wolf. She's still alpha of the New York pack, but she now owns the Jade Wolf and is now turning it into a Downworlder restaurant. And in her attempt to bring all Downworlders together to show that there's no differences, that we're all Downworlders, we're all together, has these really cool names for all the food items on the menu. It has Simon taste test the blood samples and stuff like that. And speaking of Simon, we see that he is actually working on a book, a graphic novel that was started by him and Clary. So showing how much Simon misses Clary. And even Maya named something on the menu after Fairchild, after Clary. And then we go to the Institute, where Izzy is now head of the New York Institute and a total badass leader, and I love her for that. Sizzy is still going strong, and they've been together for a year, and they're so adorable. And I think Simon mentioned that he's one of those deputies that Luke was talking about, and I think that's really cool for him to have these multiple roles and all that sort of stuff. And then we have a moment that I didn't think I would ever see or I would ever want, and that was a training scene between Jace and Simon. They start battling with the bow staffs and stuff like that, and I love the little moments where Jace would like boop him on the nose with the staffs. I thought that was really, really cute and really funny. Simon's actually a pretty good fighter, He's probably been training for quite a while. But they have got a great chemistry and they're fighting and stuff like that. But then it gets emotional again because Simon calls Jace out for going after Clary and trying to see her and things like that. And Jace denies it originally, but Simon's like, I vamp speed so I can see where you're going and things like that. And you can obviously tell that Jace is still very upset about losing Clary and the fact that she can't come back. And Simon's like, she would want you. I'm getting emotional again, god damn it. Simon's like, she would want you to move on. But Jace is like, no, there is no other one. And I would hope that our love would be stronger than the angel's spite. It got emotional, and Simon tries to be strong, and because Simon hurts too. It's obvious that Simon hurts just as much as Jace. But he's at least knowing that if they did anything to help Clary, it could make her situation worse. It could hurt all of them, and vice versa, and that's the last thing that she would want. We leave with that, and then our final scenes are with Clary, who has gone back to the Brooklyn School of Art, where I think we originally saw her applying to in the first ever episode of the show. And she's been doing these paintings, and she says that they're coming to her from these, like, dreams or these visions that she's been having. And obviously we know that that's from her Shadowhunter experience, because all that experience cannot go away. Even if they took away her sight to see the downworld or the shadow world, even if they took that away from her, she would still have those memories locked deep inside, and the physical connection to all those experiences that she had. She can't lose that. So she says that, and then Jace, and then we see Jace in this art gallery while she's showing off these paintings. Clary sees him, and which throws Jace off a little bit, and then she runs up to him and is like, I didn't mean to startle you, but do I know you? And then a total callback to the first ever episode of Shadowhunters. Jace is like, you can see me. And Clary's like, yeah, I can see you. And then he just takes off. He's completely taken aback that she could see him. And we see it in Clary's face that she knows that there's something up here. So she goes after Jace, who's out in this alley somewhere, right behind the gallery, I assume. And she's like, I know you somehow. And at first I think he's like, I don't know. He's very taken aback by this whole situation. And then she goes, you're Jace, aren't you? And I'm like, oh my god, she remembers Jace. She remembers Jace. And then she comments on the runes or the tattoos on his neck. And they smile and they look at each other, and it's just like, they know. She has these connections, and there's something there that makes her remember Jace. And I think that's a way to show that that their love for each other truly is stronger than anything. And then that last shot of them pulling up to the sky, we see the angelic rune very in the clouds, very sporadically, but we see it, and then all of a sudden it just ends with this beam of light, I guess to represent heaven and the angels. And that's how it ends. And that's how we end Shadowhunters. Okay, guys, I'm a complete and utter wreck. I wasn't expecting to, like, really get emotional talking about it. But I think what I'm going to do is that I'm going to do a separate video of my predictions of what a Season 4 of Shadowhunters could be, what we want to see if the show does get saved, and I may do that sometime later in the future. But for now, I do want to, we get emotional again, I want to give a toast to Shadowhunters. I've made myself this little cocktail here. It's basically raspberry vodka and Sprite. But I want you guys, if you're watching and if you stuck through this video, I want you to raise a glass and let's give a big toast and a congratulations to Shadowhunters. If this is the end, then we did end on a high note, and we have come together as a fandom. And I couldn't be more proud. This show has meant a lot to me in about the year that I've really been into the show. So I just want to give a toast to Shadowhunters, So raise up your glasses, everyone, whatever you're drinking, and drink responsibly if you are drinking alcohol like I am. But let's give a congratulations and a hail and farewell to Shadowhunters. Click. Whew. Oh, that was a little strong, but I probably needed that little kick. Whew. Okay. So I also do want to end the video by saying thank you so much to all of you who have been sticking with me through this review and reaction series. I didn't expect there to be so much love and so much support for this series and my channel since I started this. It means the absolute world to me to see all of you who are probably new to my channel to watch and to go through all the emotions that this show has brought us. Joining with me and listening to my opinions, giving your own opinions as well. I've been loving reading them in the comments, and I couldn't ask for something to mean so much to me than this. So before I break down crying again, I'm gonna go ahead and end this video right here. So if you guys liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Leave me your comments down below. What did you think of the series finale of Shadowhunters? I would love to hear any sort of comments as a reflection on the show as a whole, or just the finale. Anything I would love to read. And if you want to see my future videos or videos I've already done, go ahead, hit subscribe, and hit the little bell icon so you can be notified when my videos come out. That's all I have for you guys today, and until the next video, bye! Mwah. Hail and farewell, everyone.